if the veil between reality and the unknown was thinner than we dared imagine? What if events long dismissed as coincidence or folklore were actually threads interconnected by a deeper, darker pattern? Tonight, we dive headfirst into a mystery that defies all straightforward explanations, where ritual meets the sky and the shadows inside government halls whisper of secrets far beyond extraterrestrial visitors. This is Tom Mackenzie, and you are listening to Unexplained History. If you are enjoying this show, make sure to subscribe on all major platforms like Apple, Spotify, and Spreaker. And if you want more unexplained content, swing by our website at unexplained.co. It begins in the shadowed corridors of 1946 with Jack Parsons, an enigmatic figure as much a scientist as a mystic, performing occult rites so charged with atmosphere they seem to ripple reality itself. Parsons' ceremonies were esoteric, drenched in arcane symbolism, performed under the cloak of night, with incantations that stirred the air like unseen currents. As if summoned by these rites, the following year erupted into what would become a tidal wave of unidentified flying objects appearing across the skies of 1947. Strange lights darting through the heavens, objects defying known aerodynamics, and witnesses whose accounts varied from awe to terror. The timing was unsettling, too close to be mere coincidence. But the story does not stop there. Hidden within classified Pentagon documents and whispered conversations lies the mention of a shadowy faction known only as the Collins Elite, a group alleged to be privy to secrets that blur the line between technology and the supernatural. Could this cabal be manipulating or even weaponizing these aerial phenomena for unknown purposes? Accounts from experiencers add another layer of complexity. Stories not just of encounters with physical craft, but of spiritual interruptions, moments when the veil between dimensions seemed to thin or fracture. Witnesses speak of a presence, an intelligence that feels neither alien nor human, but something disquietingly more ancient and sinister. The chaos of these events, occult rites giving way to waves of skybound apparitions, coupled with secretive government factions and testimonies of otherworldly disturbances, forms a tapestry so strange it defies conventional logic. Scholars, skeptics, and believers alike remain divided. Are these threads inexplicably linked? Are we observing a grand cosmic pattern or simply a coincidence magnified by mythology? What lingers is the sense of high strangeness, a feeling that beneath the surface of 1940s America, in a time shaped by war and scientific breakthrough, something wild and unexplainable was stirring. Something that maybe, just maybe, is still stirring today. The year was 1946. The world was catching its breath after the devastation of a war unlike any before, World War II. In America, a simmering cocktail of hope and paranoia brewed, shaping a reality where science marched boldly forward, even as shadows of fear deepened. This is the world before the incredible mysteries we're about to explore. Across the United States in 1946, the air was thick with both possibility and unease. Cities were growing, industries revving up from wartime production to peacetime innovation, and millions of veterans sought to reintegrate into civilian life. Yet beneath this veneer of progress stirred the lingering mental scars of an unprecedented global conflict, nightmares born from the Blitz, the Pacific horrors, and atomic devastation. The national psyche, while resolute, bore the weight of trauma and anxiety that no one dared openly acknowledge. Scientific optimism blazed like a beacon, fueled by recent leaps in nuclear physics and rocketry. The successes of the Manhattan Project had permanently altered mankind's understanding of power, both its potential and its peril. Around government labs and military bases, the whir of urgent secret research was constant as America plunged headlong into what would become the Cold War. The emerging rivalry with the Soviet Union painted a landscape of spying, suspicion, and unseen battlefields. Wars fought in shadowy intelligence rooms and behind closed doors. The phrase national security carried an almost sacred weight, justifying covert programs that blurred the line between scientific experimentation and outright secrecy. Meanwhile, a strange fascination with the occult gripped segments of American society. The trauma of war had loosened rational certainties, opening doors to ideas both ancient and otherworldly. Spiritualism, the supernatural, and mysticism seeped into popular culture alongside more grounded portrayals of technological progress. Magazine racks featured tales of ghostly apparitions and secret societies, while influential figures dabbed in mysticism or parapsychology. The government itself reportedly entertained investigations into psychic phenomena, partly to understand and potentially weaponize these intangible forces. As radio broadcasts crackled across living rooms and movie theaters glowed with promises of tomorrow's wonders, Americans lived in a peculiar tension between a faith in science as the great liberator and a creeping dread that the world was not fully knowable or controllable. The rapid technological advances sparked hope, but Cold War anxieties fueled suspicion, paranoia, and a readiness to believe in the inexplicable. In cities like Los Angeles, where the glimmer of Hollywood met the hum of aerospace factories, this dynamic was especially pronounced. The post-war boom created fertile ground not only for innovation, but also for rumors of secret projects, extraterrestrial visitors, and hidden dimensions. The skies were no longer empty. Strange lights, unexplained signals, and reported sightings tapped into a collective unease, sparked by wartime radar technology and the dawn of mass electronic communication. People were hungry for meaning after years of loss. Some found it in conspiracy and spectacle, while others sought solace in the mysterious or the arcane. Thus, the stage was set. A world unsettled, yet electrified. A society oscillating between hope and fear, and a cultural landscape pregnant with secrets, both hidden and imminent. 1946. America was the genesis of the extraordinary, where the lines between science and superstition blurred, setting the scene for the extraordinary events and discoveries to come. January 1946. In a quiet suburban home in Pasadena, California, a series of arcane rituals were quietly unfolding beneath the cold, watchful gaze of the moon. This was no ordinary experiment. It was the beginning of a desperate journey into the unknown, led by a man consumed by obsession and driven by an unshakable belief in forces beyond our world. Tonight, we step inside Jack Parsons' home, into the eerie flicker of candlelight and the thick scent of incense, and bear witness to the Babalon Working, their grandest ritual aiming to summon a figure from myth, the Whore of Babylon, opening a gateway to realms unseen. The ritual began on a cold January evening, but the preparation started weeks earlier. Parsons, a brilliant but volatile rocket scientist, had transformed his modest living room into a chamber of otherworldly power. Every surface was covered with intricate sigils drawn in red chalk. A circle of candles burned with almost unbearable heat, and strange artifacts, bones, feathers, and ancient texts were arranged with meticulous care. The air hung heavy with the scent of burning frankincense and myrrh, a thick haze blurring the edges of the room, while the shadows danced and deepened to a strange rhythm that seemed to pulse with the flickering flames. Parsons stood in the center, draped in a robe embroidered with alchemical symbols, whispering invocations with a voice quivering between awe and madness. Each word was measured, an invocation not just of a spirit, but of a doorway, a gateway holding the promise of cosmic revelation. Over the next several weeks, Parsons and his close circle conducted a series of elaborate rites, each one more intense than the last. Night after night, they chanted names from the obscure text of the Book of the Law, their voices rising and falling like waves against the stillness of their fear. Often, the rituals would stretch past midnight, time seeming to lose meaning, while the air grew charged with a presence unseen, as if reality itself was thinning. Parsons became increasingly engrossed, his mind teetering between exaltation and delirium. He spoke of visions, of a luminous figure emerging from the smoke and shadows, the Whore of Babylon herself, a mysterious force destined to reshape the fabric of existence. Then came the final ritual in late February. The atmosphere inside Parsons' home grew palpably tense in the late hours of the 26th. Inside the dimly lit room, the candles were positioned in a perfect circle, their flames casting grotesque, twitching shadows on the walls. The floor was dusted with salt and powdered gems, arranged in sacred geometric patterns that seemed to hum with a silent, electric energy. Parsons moved deliberately, chanting the invocations in a low, hypnotic tone as his companions repeated in unison. His eyes blazed with feverish intensity, part trance, part madness. At exactly midnight, the air shifted. A coldness seeped into the room, so unnatural it made the hairs on the back of their necks rise. Parsons began drawing a large, complex symbol on the floor, the mark of Babylon, a sign both ancient and terrifying. The air thickened, breaths became visible in the unnatural chill. As the final incantation escaped his lips, the flames on the candles twisted suddenly, bending away from an unseen force, and a faint, low humming filled the room like the distant call of a cosmic presence. In the cold aftermath, Parsons appeared drained, yet electrified, as if his spirit had brushed close to the infinite. The ritual space bore silent testimony. Smoke still lingered in the air, and faint traces of movement disturbed the dust. Neighbors recalled strange noises, unearthly chants, and whispered voices that drifted beyond the house's walls. Months later, Parsons' papers would tell of profound visions, strange coincidences, and an overwhelming sense that the boundary between the material and the mystical had been irrevocably altered. But what exactly transpired during those nights? Was it merely a theatrical descent into madness, or a genuine brush with something beyond human understanding? As the Babalon Working drew to its close in March, the echoes of that final ritual continued to reverberate, setting the stage for consequences that would ripple far beyond Parsons' Pasadena home. What began as an arcane experiment quickly spiraled into an obsession that pushed the boundaries of reality itself. Jack Parsons and his companions sought a doorway, a cosmic force to shatter the ordinary, and perhaps, as we'll see next, they found something they couldn't control. Join us in the next segment as the escalation unfolds and the consequences of the Babalon Working ripple through history. The year was 1947, and the world was on the brink of something utterly unexplainable. From a single sighting in the skies over the Pacific Northwest, what followed was a wave of sightings and an explosion of paranoia. This is where the story of modern UFO history ignites, where spectacle meets mystery, and everything we thought we knew about the skies was thrown into chaos. June 24th, 1947. Kenneth Arnold, a private pilot and businessman, was flying his small plane near Mount Rainier, Washington. What he reported seeing would soon send shockwaves through the public consciousness. 9 shiny objects darting through the air at speeds he described as faster than anything I've ever seen. Arnold's descriptions, likening the craft's motion to saucers skipping across a lake, sparked the birth of the term that would define the phenomenon: flying saucers. His account was swift, detailed, and electrifying. Newspapers pounced, sensationalizing the story in bold headlines that carried a mix of disbelief, fear, and fascination. Overnight, the skies were no longer just the domain of birds and planes. They had become a stage for the unknown. But the Kenneth Arnold sighting was only the opening act. In the ensuing weeks, reports began pouring in from all corners of America. Strange lights, mysterious shapes, and unexplainable noises filled the headlines and stirred the public imagination. The frenzy grew so intense that local and federal authorities found themselves inundated with calls and sightings they struggled to rationalize. The atmosphere was one of tension and mounting anxiety, as the line between reality and rumor blurred. People felt the presence of something, whether extraterrestrial or man-made, that threatened to upend normal life. Then came Roswell, July 1947. A rancher named Mac Brazel discovered strange debris scattered across his land near Corona, New Mexico. Initially, military officials issued a press release stating they had recovered a flying disc. But within hours, the narrative changed. Suddenly, it was a weather balloon. This rapid reversal only deepened the mystery and fueled suspicions of a cover-up, an official attempt to conceal the truth from an increasingly anxious public. The Roswell incident became lightning in a bottle for the UFO phenomenon, intense media scrutiny, whistleblower rumors, and government statements colliding in a maelstrom of confusion and disbelief. Amid this chaos, the culture of secrecy and speculation took root. Air Force officials hastily denounced alien connections while investigating debris that looked unlike anything familiar, deepening the public's unease. It was a moment suspended between dread and wonder, a moment when the sky suddenly seemed less safe and the stakes felt cosmic. Across newspapers, radio broadcasts, and newsreels, the language of fear and fascination filled the airwaves. People around the world grappled with questions. Were these sightings a secret military test, a foreign threat, or something so alien that it challenged humanity's very understanding of its place in the universe? This frenzied atmosphere, chaotic and uncertain, was a fertile ground for the legend of UFOs to sprout, charged by a collective anxiety born of the Cold War and a rapidly changing world. The frenzy of 1947 was far from orderly. Witnesses contradicted each other. Officials obfuscated, retracted statements, or stonewalled inquiries. Sightings ballooned into mass hysteria or genuine encounters. It was impossible to tell. This haze of confusion, coupled with the shadow of nuclear anxiety, made each headline pulse with urgency and uncanny possibility. The world was suddenly primed for something extraordinary and terrifying, and the story was just beginning. From a solitary pilot's glimpse of unknown craft streaking over the mountains to debris recovered under a desert sun, the escalation from 1946 into 1947 shattered conventional understanding. Public fear, military intrigue, and an insatiable media fueled a narrative that felt otherworldly. In the next segment, we'll meet the key figures whose lives were forever entwined with these mysterious events. Stay with us. The stories we're about to unfold feature some of the most extraordinary characters woven into the fabric of this mystery. These are the players, men whose lives intersected science, secrecy, and the unknown in ways that still baffle us today. Let's explore who they were, what drove them, and why their roles remain pivotal in understanding this saga. Jack Parsons, the first figure in this cast, was a man of contradictions, brilliant yet controversial, a rocket scientist whose intellect propelled humanity toward the stars, yet who was equally captivated by the shadows of the occult. Born in 1914, Parsons was an early pioneer of American rocketry, a co-founder of what eventually became NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. His groundbreaking work in jet propulsion carved his name into the annals of science. But behind that scientific veneer lurked a fervent fascination with esoteric rituals and mystical practices. Parsons blended his experimental mind with occultism, believing that unlocking the secrets of the universe required more than just technology. It demanded tapping into hidden, arcane forces. His charismatic presence attracted both admiration and suspicion, making him a polarizing figure both in the halls of academia and the fringes of secret societies. L. Ron Hubbard, Parsons' associate and another enigmatic personality, played a distinctly different but no less impactful role. Known widely today as the founder of Scientology, Hubbard's origins were shrouded in mystery and controversy. A prolific writer and adventurer, he crossed paths with Parsons in California during the 1940s. Their relationship was volatile, a strange mix of collaboration, rivalry, and mutual influence. Hubbard's interests overlapped with Parsons' occult leanings, and together they dabbled in experiments blending science, magic, and philosophy. Yet Hubbard's ambitions extended far beyond the laboratory or ritual chamber. His charismatic drive sought new frontiers in belief systems and human potential. Some accounts suggest that Hubbard's involvement with Parsons was a stepping stone on his path to establishing his own controversial legacy, while others imply he was deeply intrigued by Parsons' scientific breakthroughs and occult knowledge. Then, there is Kenneth Arnold, a man who, in the summer of 1947, would become a watershed moment in UFO history. As a private pilot soaring over the Cascade Mountains, Arnold reported witnessing 9 unusual crescent-shaped flying objects moving at remarkable speeds. His descriptions ignited a media frenzy and essentially launched the modern UFO phenomenon. But Arnold was no mere eccentric witness. His background as an experienced pilot lent credibility and gravitas to his claims. Yet what motivated Arnold was not just the thrill of the unknown, but a search for understanding amidst post-war uncertainties. His sighting came at a time when the world grappled with the dawn of the nuclear age and the tension of the Cold War, an atmosphere ripe for mysterious phenomena to seize public imagination and governmental concern alike. Fast forward decades, and we meet Luis Elizondo, a modern-day insider whose revelations rattle long-standing secrecy around UFOs. A former Pentagon official, Elizondo headed the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, an initiative that, until publicly disclosed, worked to investigate unidentified aerial phenomena. Elizondo's military background combined with his whistleblower status makes him a unique bridge between clandestine government efforts and public curiosity. His accounts, delivered with a sober authority and an urgent tone, have re-energized debates about what governments know and choose to reveal. For Elizondo, the motivation is clear: transparency. His voice challenges us to reconsider the nature of these phenomena, not as fringe fantasy, but as real puzzles facing modern aerospace and national security. Finally, there is Nick Redfern, a prolific researcher and writer renowned for his deep dives into the convergence of paranormal and UFO phenomena. Unlike the scientists and officials who anchor these stories in institutional roles, Redfern walks the landscape as an investigative journalist, weaving together threads that many others overlook. His background in uncovering obscure government programs and secret histories gives him an outsider's perspective, but with an insider's grasp of evidence and narrative. Redfern's work often explores the blurry lines where classified operations, folklore, and eyewitness testimony blur, making him a crucial figure in piecing together the larger puzzle. His motivation is rooted in revelation, a commitment to exposing hidden truths, regardless of how uncomfortable or inexplicable they might appear. Together, these 5 men represent the extraordinary and often unsettling junction where science meets speculation, where fact collides with faith, and where the known universe brushes against the vast, enigmatic unknown. Parsons' occult rocket science, Hubbard's charismatic mysticism, Arnold's eyewitness courage, Elizondo's government insight, and Redfern's investigative persistence each add layers of complexity and color to this ongoing historical tapestry. Their legacies invite us to not just ask what happened, but to delve deeper into why it matters, and how the shadows of their stories still ripple through our collective understanding of the unexplained. These key figures set the stage for the next chapter, an official investigation that sought to unravel what truth, if any, lay beneath the swirling mystery. Join us as we turn the spotlight on the inquiries that followed and confront the answers they uncovered. In 1947, the skies above America stirred a wave of sightings that ignited a frenzy of attention and concern. What followed was a cascade of official reports and investigatory projects created to impose order on the chaos. Join me now as we delve into the official response to that remarkable summer, where curiosity met caution in a dance of secrecy and skepticism. When Kenneth Arnold reported his sweeping sighting of 9 brightly shining objects speeding near Mount Rainier, it sparked not only public fascination, but also immediate government attention. Within weeks, military and intelligence agencies mobilized to monitor and investigate these unexplained aerial phenomena, concerned about both national security and public order. Among the hallmark efforts was Project Sign, a secret military initiative established by the U.S. Air Force in late 1947. Tasked with gathering all available data on UFOs, it operated with a strictly procedural and analytical approach, collecting witness statements, evaluating radar evidence, and reviewing physical traces. However, Project Sign soon faced constraints: limited technology, conflicting reports, and the immense challenge of drawing definitive conclusions from often ambiguous or contradictory evidence. As the months passed, Project Sign gave way to Project Grudge in 1949, which signaled a shift toward heightened skepticism. This phase openly emphasized the dismissal of UFO reports as misidentified natural or man-made objects, psychological phenomena, or outright hoaxes. It was an operational pivot that sought to reassure the public and stem rumors, while avoiding any hint of governmental acknowledgement of extraterrestrial involvement. Meanwhile, the infamous Roswell incident in July 1947 became an extensive subject of official scrutiny and conflicting accounts. Initial military reports stated a flying disc had been recovered near a ranch in New Mexico, but the story swiftly transformed into that of a weather balloon crash when the Air Force released statements accompanied by debris photos. Police records from Roswell and contemporary news articles reflect this abrupt narrative change, detailing statements from military officers and townsfolk that were often vague, inconsistent, and steeped in confusion. Importantly, these official documents, while rich in procedural detail, lacked any indication or suggestion of occult or spiritual causes for the event. Rather, they reflected a pragmatic and materialistic mindset, focused on protecting military secrets and controlling public discourse. In parallel, the Air Force initiated Project Blue Book in 1952, a public-facing yet tightly managed investigation. Blue Book inherited the earlier mission's files, but operated with a clearer mandate: catalog and classify UFO sightings nationwide, aiming to dispel myths by attributing most cases to natural phenomena, aircraft, or misidentifications. Blue Book's extensive archives included reports from police departments, newspapers, and civilian witnesses, including detailed analyses of radar contacts and pilot testimonies. Yet its final official conclusion, issued in 1969, was unequivocally dismissive, finding no evidence of UFOs representing a threat or anything beyond conventional explanation. Throughout all these projects, the tone remained strictly procedural and framed by Cold War anxieties. Secrecy prevailed, and skepticism dominated. The absence of any documents linking sightings or recovered materials to supernatural or spiritual interpretations underscores the government's desire to contain the discussion within tangible, earthly terms. The press coverage of the time mirrored this. While newspapers initially sparked public imagination with sensational headlines, official denials, and carefully worded statements gradually shifted the discourse toward rational explanations. The cumulative effect: a public perception shaped by a mix of intrigue, distrust, and official reassurances, an atmosphere where unanswered questions lingered beneath a surface of institutional control. In essence, these investigations illustrate a defining characteristic of the era: the balancing act between genuine inquiry and the imperative to maintain order, both in the skies and within the minds of citizens. In the swirling fog of mystery that surrounds Parsons' ritual and the 1947 UFO wave, it's easy to get swept up in the excitement. But what if the truth lies not in the fantastical, but the rational? Let's pull back the curtain and view these events through a sharpened lens, the eye of science and skepticism. When whispers of strange lights and otherworldly encounters flood a society already primed with cultural tension, the mind's natural tendencies come into sharp focus. Psychological factors like confirmation bias and expectation play a crucial role. Witnesses, consciously or not, often interpret ambiguous stimuli in ways that fit prevailing narratives of the time. In 1947, the world was caught in a post-war haze, shadows of fear, fascination with advanced technology, and a rising interest in the paranormal. These conditions created fertile ground for the UFO wave to flourish, framing ordinary lights, weather phenomena, or aircraft in a veil of mystery. The chronological overlap with Parsons' ritual, steeped in occult symbolism and secrecy, further fed public imagination, linking unrelated events through cultural bias. It's a classic example of how collective beliefs can weave separate threads into a single tapestry of the unexplained. In the laboratory of reason, investigators apply rigorous methodologies to disentangle the plausible from the improbable. Instruments record atmospheric data. Physicists analyze light phenomena. Psychological experts examine witness credulity. Through this lens, many supposed UFO sightings align more closely with misidentifications of mundane objects, weather balloons, astronomical bodies, or experimental aircraft. The ritual that Parsons conducted, enveloped in esoteric rites, captures imagination but offers no measurable link to the wider UFO wave. Instead, the human propensity to seek patterns leads to what psychologists call apophenia, perceiving connections where none objectively exist. It's the mind's survival tool, seeking order in chaos. but it often becomes the architect of myth. Furthermore, cultural bias heavily colors interpretation. In the late 1940s, media coverage sensationalized UFO reports, embedding extraterrestrial narratives deeply into public consciousness. This framing created a filter through which new encounters were viewed, often with expectation rather than skepticism. Psychological studies reveal that once a belief system is adopted, even tentatively, it shapes perception, memory, and communication of events, reinforcing the narrative's grip. Anecdotes shared in newspapers, radio broadcasts, and community rumors gained a momentum of their own, blurring the line between fact and fiction. Science confronts these challenges by emphasizing reproducibility and critical analysis. Multiple, independent investigations cross-check facts, undermine good faith errors, and expose hoaxes. This rigorous approach prevents individual biases or emotional contagion from clouding conclusions. It's worth noting that skepticism does not dismiss eyewitness accounts outright, but rather situates them within a broader evidentiary framework, one that prioritizes objective data over subjective interpretation. This methodical examination strips away the theatrical fog, revealing a world less magical, but perhaps more truthful. Ultimately, the overlap of Parsons' ritual and the 1947 UFO wave illustrates how human cognition and cultural context intertwine, crafting legends from coincidence and conjecture. By acknowledging psychological factors, cultural biases, mass hysteria, and the limitations of anecdotal evidence, we gain a clearer view of these enigmatic events, not shrouded in supernatural mystery, but illuminated by the sober light of reason. This rational eye challenges us to question what we see and hear, reminding us that the most extraordinary stories often have the simplest explanations. So, while the allure of the unknown beckons, science grounds us, helping separate sensational stories from measurable reality. Up next, we dive into the paranormal theories that sought to fill the gaps left by reason. Stay with us. Some say Jack Parsons didn't just experiment with rocket fuel, but with the fabric of reality itself. Tonight, we venture into the unknown, beyond skeptical science, and into the eerie space where ritual dabbles with the paranormal. What if some doors, once opened, never truly close? In the shadowed corners of occult history, Parsons' infamous Babalon Working ritual is spoken of not merely as esoteric theater, but as a possible key, an arcane act that may have torn a thin veil between dimensions. Witnesses from that time described an atmosphere saturated with charged energy, an oppressive hum that clawed at the nerves like a dark whisper in the back of the mind. Some claim he didn't just conjure spirits or demons in the traditional sense, but may have invited entities from realms beyond human comprehension, beings not bound by our laws of physics or morality. Interdimensional is the word whispered most, but with it comes terror. Encounters that didn't dissolve gently, but forced themselves into perception, interrupting the very fabric of ordinary consciousness. Among those who disturb the boundary between the known and the unknowable are the so-called Collins Elite, a covert group rumored to possess inside knowledge about the true nature of UFO phenomena. Contrary to popular culture's depiction of these craft as extraterrestrial visitors, this clandestine circle views them through a darker lens. To them, these crafts are demonic manifestations, shadowy presences cloaked in technology so advanced it resembles magic. These sightings, far from benign or exploratory, are often described as spiritual interruptions, malignant interferences that disrupt not only human activity, but the very psychic terrain of their witnesses. Some insiders report not a curious encounter, but a profound violation of reality, fleeting glimpses into a monstrous world crawling just out of reach, ready to intrude. To those who believe, Parsons' ritual was no accident of history. It was a deliberate act that partly succeeded, opening a dangerous doorway. They see the UFO events not as benign visits from distant stars, but as a continuation of that breach, an ongoing invasion from a dimension where light fails to penetrate, and malevolent intelligences prowl, waiting for moments when our reality is thin and vulnerable. This perspective fuels a mindset steeped in vigilance and dread, where every unexplained flicker in the sky is a potential herald of intrusion, and every unexplainable electromagnetic pulse a grim reminder of forces beyond human understanding manipulating our world. Fear is an essential companion here, not just fear of the unknown, but fear of what knowing might bring, of the horrifying truth that some doors should never be opened. In these whispered circles, silence is heavy with meaning. They speak not of aliens, but of demons masquerading in otherworldly shells, beings as old as time and driven by inscrutable motives. Their encounters suggest a chilling realization. The sky is not just a vault of stars, but a threshold, a frontier where human curiosity tangles with ancient dark forces eager to slip through. This is not just a story of rocket science gone rogue, but a cautionary tale of spiritual transgression and cosmic horror. As we leave behind the unsettling veil Parsons may have lifted, we step into the realm where culture and belief intertwine. Next, we explore how these terrifying mysteries have imprinted themselves on the collective imagination, shaping folklore, fear, and faith. Stay with us. As we close this chapter of unresolved mysteries, we find ourselves standing at the crossroads of fact and enigma. What ties could truly bind the strange rituals of Parsons to the inexplicable wave of 1947 and to the shadowy whispers surrounding the secretive Collins elite? Let us linger here a moment as we peer into the fog of uncertainty. The night air is thick with questions that refuse to dissipate. Parsons' arcane ceremonies evoke images not just of mysticism, but of a desperate human yearning to touch the ineffable, to breach the veil where science blurs softly into belief. In the faint flicker of candlelight and shadow, there is a haunting suggestion that these rituals were more than mere superstition. They were a reckoning with forces just beyond comprehension. Meanwhile, the 1947 wave ripples through the records like a phantom tide. Fragments of eyewitness accounts and blurred photographs that defy conventional explanation. Could this surge of anomalies have been triggered or influenced by the same forces Parsons sought to wield? Or is it simply the chaotic dance of human perception wrestling with the unknown? And then, there is the Collins elite, an entity shrouded in secrecy and conjecture. Their involvement, if real, suggests a calculated orchestration behind what might otherwise seem like scattered phenomena. Their name alone conjures clandestine meetings in smoke-filled rooms, the silent exchange of coded messages, and the cold machinery of influence pulling unseen strings. Yet, despite numerous attempts to pierce their veil, the Collins elite remain elusive, an enigma wrapped in conspiracy, challenging our very understanding of power and reality. This tangled web speaks to a fundamental truth about humanity's ceaseless fascination with the unknown. It is a reflection of our deepest doubts and hopes, our need to impose meaning where chaos reigns. The line between science and belief is perilously thin, sometimes indistinguishable, a frontier where facts meet faith and where certainty slips quietly into myth. We find ourselves caught in this liminal space, haunted not just by what was witnessed, but by all that remains unseen, unproven, and perhaps unknowable. As you listen, imagine the cold night that swallowed the 1947 wave, the flickering shadows cast by Parsons' flames, and the quiet footsteps of the Collins elite slipping through corridors of power. Feel the weight of questions pressing down, questions that refuse easy answers. What if some truths are destined to evade us forever? What if the very act of searching alters what we seek, blurring lines until only a whisper remains? In the theater of our minds, the story plays on, dark, unresolved, and hauntingly compelling. That concludes our investigation into this mystery. I'm Tom Mackenzie. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. And remember to visit unexplained.co for the photos we discussed today. Until next time, keep looking for the truth.